G'day, community, and welcome to the Jock Reynolds Supercoach Community Podcast. What a week it has been. My name is Patch. I am here with Damo. Damo, how are you this fine week?
I'm good. I think all my trades paid off. It was the people who I left in my team who made me pull my hair out, and hopefully they don't perform the way they are for too much longer.
You'd hope not, but yes, football is back, Supercoach is back. It was a massive round for some, it was a disappointing round for others as we saw some players just go absolutely bananas. And yeah, as you mentioned, some players who we didn't think of trading out severely underperform. Thank you to Teller Beats for the wonderful music that is coming underneath our voices right now. Obviously, last week we had the 5 trades. This week we are back to 2, and we've got to figure out how to best use them and what we should be doing. Obviously, Damo, you've mentioned a bunch of players have underperformed. Do you want to spit out some names? Do you want to just get it out of your system, just cathartically just yell at some players?
Rory Laird. I think Barron put on Twitter that he needs to stop booting the ball to the moon.
I mean, the moon is not an effective kick, not a teammate. Champion data does not recognise the moon as someone you'd want to kick to. So, I mean, Barron has a very, very salient point. Anyone else that is in that firing line for you, just let it all out. Just unleash the inner Hulk that I know lives within you.
I'm calling it a success because he did what I wanted him to do. But Isaac Heaney, I traded him in. He made money. Only $8,000, but he's made money. He only scored 60 because Sydney weren't looking for him.
Because he's just playing deep forward and Sydney don't know how to kick it forward with a younger midfield. I've been saying it. I'm frustrated on your behalf for having traded him in, but maybe he'll be good, maybe not. Anyway, let's just crack straight into it. We've only got the 2 trades this week. What should people be focusing on with those 2 trades? There are plenty of people out there that had disappointing rounds. We had people scoring 2,400, 2,500 in round 2, which you normally don't see until about round 16, round 17. People, scored just over 2,000, under 2,000. What should people be looking at by and large to try and do this week?
Well, I think if you're one of the 28% that doesn't have Matt ROWELL, you need to find a way to get him in. I don't know how you're going to do it, but it's not too late.
Lifer phones away.
It's not too late. His break-even is minus 91. So he's still going to make you a good amount of money. And it looks like he's going to score really, really well.
Well, I mean, if 171, and I'll repeat that again, 171 in your second game of AFL football as an 18-year-old is any indication, Sam Walsh ain't got nothing on this guy. Ain't got nothing. He's, do you reckon he'll pull out another 170? I can't see him doing it.
I'm going to make a big call. I can see him averaging 105 in his first season.
That would be a big call. That would be a very big call, but I love it, especially in these shortened formats. And he's basically the number 1 midfielder at the Suns anyway. Absolutely massive. And he's now at, what's his price at now? He's now at, where are we?
$284,000.
$284,000 after just the one game with a negative break even of 91, as he mentioned. But that hunting the cash, I feel like that's the priority this week. Am I out of line to say that people need to be making sure they're bringing in rookies this week and then looking to fix up their team next week?
I think if you've got someone in your team who is hemorrhaging cash, get rid of them. So I'm talking about the likes of your Rory Laird's. He scored 88 and 72, and he's probably in a bottom 4 team. Like I said, probably doesn't dispose of the ball that well at the moment, probably due to the players around him and the game plan maybe that Matthew Nicks has implemented. But he looks like he's not going to reach his usual heights. And there are people that held on to Dan Houston. I don't think he had a position on the weekend. I think he was a small forward, a midfielder, a defender, and perhaps even a ruckman at some stage.
True J-Roll style.
I just don't think there was a role for him on the weekend, but that doesn't mean he's going to get dropped. I just think that's the way they're going to be using him. And then you've got the likes of Jack McRae, who people forked out almost $700,000 for, and Luke Beveridge has done a very Luke Beveridge thing and changed his role.
The most Luke Beveridge of things to ever do. And we thought Jack McRae was safe. We thought he was the one player that was safe. And I'm just going to rant for a minute here, because Luke Beveridge, what the bloody hell are you doing, son? You've had 4 weeks of very, very good football. You've ridden off the back of 4 of the best weeks of football we've seen in a long, long time. And you're now just, what are you doing? This isn't coaching. You're throwing magnets at a board and just hoping that maybe it'll recreate some of that magic from 2016. It's not going to happen. He's your best midfielder. He's one of the top 5 midfielders in the comp. Get him on the ball. Get him in the ball ups. Don't put him on the wing and then throw him forward. He doesn't know what to do up forward. He's got no clue. And why would he? He's a brilliant midfielder. He will win a Brownlow in the midfield if you play him there. But you don't want to play him there. You want to play other players in the... What are you doing? What is he, Damo? What is he doing? Why is Luke Beveridge the way he is? Why does he hate everything that is pure and good about football and wants to play 21 really small medium forward midfielder / forwards and then Tim English? Why does he do this?
Well, you would argue that Tim English is just a small medium forward that has been stretched out somehow because
he's a glitch. He's gone wrong.
Yes.
He's just one of the experiments that has gone wrong, and they're like, actually, maybe we can do something with this. But they managed to rob him of all coordination.
Yeah. It sounds like exactly what happened.
But why does this happen? Why is McRae on the wing? Why is he not playing in the middle? Why is Houston not having a role when he was promised a role in the midfield at the preseason? Why is McCluggage not doing the thing on the wing? Why? Why do they not do this?
Questions that we will never get answers for, but the only solution is trade them.
Now, do we look at trading them to rookies? So we had, obviously price changes for anyone who's forgotten, price changes after 2 weeks for rookies. So you get one chance to look at them, and then after week 2, their prices change. That'll happen all throughout the season. So you got to jump on them quick. And we had a few rookies jump up this week. We obviously had Rivers play his first game. Bennell had his much anticipated return to the football field. You had Darcy Cameron playing his first game, which was very exciting for everyone there. A few others around the place. You still got Sturt, who might come back this week. Caldwell scored 73. Yeah, these guys have kind of played their first game. We don't have another chance to get them in. Do we need to make sure we do that, right now, or do we focus on trading a Dan Houston to a Jeremy Howe if you missed him, for example, or trading Hugh McCluggage up to anyone else?
I don't think moving Houston to Howe or even Houston to a Tom Stewart, if you can afford it, is a wasted trade. They seem to be fairly safe selections, and I suggest if a player hasn't performed in the first 2 weeks, obviously the money factor comes into it, and you don't want to hold on to them for too long that a decent replacement becomes out of reach.
I'm not sure if that's as important as trying to get that cash injection in early, because God knows when we'll see rookies again this year. Being a shortened season, being so much confusion, I think there's certainly around rookies, you want to grab it when you can, and then next week you look at the biggest problems, be they McCluggage, Houston, Laird, whoever they are that just are severely underperforming. I reckon you need to just give it a week and just go for Rivers, go for Bennell, go for Cameron, go for Mark Pittenay, who we haven't mentioned or really talked about yet. Get these players in first and then worry about worry about those premiums next week or the week after. I don't know, is that a risk for like league players though? Where you potentially fall too far behind?
I think league players and rank players could possibly go about the year fairly similarly, just because of the shortened season. And most teams will grow at sort of the same pace now, especially considering there's not the 3 trades during the 3 bye weeks. So essentially, teams will grow at the same pace. It'll just be about who you have on field and who you've selected rather than your strategy in trading, if that makes sense.
Yeah, and I think you're right, but so I think the point still stands that pretty much everyone this week should be bringing in rookies, and then next week you look at players that just aren't performing, that aren't doing what you want them to do, and then we deal with that next week, and it gives you another week to kind of let them turn around. They're all rusty. They've all been missing, however many weeks it was, 3 million weeks, 20 years between games. Some players, came back on fire like Gawn and Neale and ROWELL and just tore out a new one. Some players just might need a little bit longer, and I'm willing to give Hugh McCluggage another week. And if he doesn't do it then sure, we flick him off. And your Sam Walshes, your Jeremy McGoverns, your those sorts of players, Toby Green, you just kind of get rid of them then. And that's the way I think we should be doing it this week.
You mentioned him before. Let's talk about Mark Pitney, because he seems to be a very hot button topic at the moment. People sort of thinking that he could be the Riley O'Brien of 2020, the player that's going to score well week in, week out and make a truckload of cash, essentially giving you an easy upgrade somewhere else on your field once he's fattened up. My issue with that is, unless you've gone short somewhere else last week in your 5 trades, I don't see where you're going to get the money from unless you downgrade one of your underperforming premiums. But even then, I don't see Pitney being on the majority of people's fields.
Yeah, that's the interesting thing, and you've really got to look at your setup. So you, for example, you wouldn't look at bringing him in.
I can't bring him in unless I tear my team apart, and I'm not prepared to do that because I want the points on the field. I don't want the points on the bench. The points on the bench are no good to me.
Yeah, so who have you? You've got Gawn and Grundy in the ruck, don't you?
Yes.
Yeah, and there's no way you would ever look at trading out either of them, even as a supreme cash grab, which Pitney is.
No, I wouldn't trade them because I'm probably not going to get the same amount of points. They are better ruckmen on paper, I guess we could say at the moment, because we don't know much about Mark Pitney apart from the fact that he's a friend of the pod. In terms of his Supercoach output, unless you've downgraded a Tim English, or which you should, or a Sam Jacobs or a Nick Nanui to him, who he's going to be playing in that R2 position next to Gawn or Grundy, I just don't see the point of trading in this person who's 230k and having him on your bench and downgrading someone like a Rory Laird to him, because you're not going to get those points. You're going to get the cash, but you're not going to get the points.
Yeah, exactly. And yeah, as much as I do say the cash is king, you don't want to bring in someone at 230k who's never going to get on the field. And at no stage will you ever field him above one of those other players. But yeah, if you've got you've still got a Naismith, if you've got a Nat Nui, like I've gone Nat Nui down to Pitney this week. Segler to Pitney would be another good one. If you've got Ryder or Marshall, they're obviously not scoring incredibly well, both being in the team. I think, yeah, you're right. If you've got one of those players, fire away, pull the trigger, downgrade, get potentially the same output. He scored 134 on the weekend against Max Gawn too. So he's shown he can score against some of the best ruckmen in the competition. Be interesting to see him ruck against whoever Geelong decide to put up in their wheel of chaos. But yeah, you'd think he'd score... What do you reckon he'll average out of interest?
I don't think he'll score 134 every week. I think he's more likely to average around the 90 sort of mark. And I don't see him going well against the more athletic type ruckman. So if he's against Reece Stanley this week, Reece Stanley could run rings around him potentially.
Potentially, but yeah, I don't know. It's really hard to judge the rucks this season because you look at some of the scores from this week just this round, you've got Max Gawn 184, Goldstein 164, O'Brien 161, Sinclair 144, Pitney 134, Stanley turned up, Lysette turned up, Grundy scored 115, Soldo turned up on his own. By and large, it looks like the players that are playing ruck time, like basically number one ruck roles, with the exception of Tim English, are kind of scoring well. Like Sam Jacobs kind of isn't. Steph Martin splitting the role, but there's potential for the rucks to score better this year than last year and maybe be more value. So I absolutely advocate for bringing Pitney in and putting him on the field, because I reckon he can average that 100, 105 and be one of your last upgrades.
Yeah, I think if you're gonna have him on field, then 100%, I think he's a good option. But like I said, if he's not going to be on field, I don't see the point.
Yeah, exactly. There are a few other rookies. We'll just very quickly run through them, the main ones. So we've spoken about Pitney. Darcy Cameron, do you think you need to get him in this week?
I don't think you need to get him, but he's also one bad performance away from being Mason Coxed.
Yeah, that's my main concern there. Trent Rivers is, that's obviously a hotly contested spot, but he was good.
He's going to put Michael Hibbert out of a job.
Very much so. Obviously, the Rivers and Bennell played their first games for Melbourne on the weekend. Most people you'd think could only bring in one of them. Who do you reckon you should bring in? Rivers with the 60-odd, Bennell with just under 60 from memory?
I'm gonna say Bennell. I really think that if he stays fit, he stays in the team. But obviously, that calf is the worry.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, Rivers' job security doesn't. It's hard to tell with Melbourne, but you'd think playing in a win they might stick him in there. But Bennell, job security much better, and also Harley Bennell's scoring potential. Would you like to remind those of us that may have forgotten how good he is as a player?
Well, he only played 50% game time on the weekend, and he scored 59.
I agree. I think he'd be the one to bring in, but Rivers did look very good, and that DPP might be really useful with a Starcevic. But yeah, anyway, we'll go into some of the other options to trading. So plenty of mid-prices. A lot of people are very keen to jump on. A lot of sort of cheaper players. Obviously, Jeremy Howe, one of the most traded in players last week. Those that missed him have realised the error of their ways, and that they should bring him in. Jai Simpkins still on a lot of people's list. But you've got a lot of other players that are really up there in terms of people being interested in trading them in. Connor Rosie, Christian Petrarca was sensational on the weekend, and I thought was robbed of about 30 points from the way he played. Jordan Ridley, Sam Petreski-Seaton, Nick Haynes, even though Haynes is kind of out of that affordability bracket. Do you reckon people should be trying to hunt these players? We've kind of said, cash is king and you need to go for the rookies, but if you can go a Houston to, say, a Rosie via Jared Brander, is that something you should look at doing ahead of just sort of bringing in these rookies? What are your thoughts about some of these mid-priced or upper-end mid-priced players?
Cash is king, like you said. And Rosie's at a price with a good break-even. That means he won't lose money the same way that Houston will. So it's a good option. I like it. I'm not sure I trust Rosie, though.
Yeah, neither do I. He's a very good footballer, but it kind of scares me, the concept of trying to go after someone like that.
Well, we have to remember, Port Adelaide have played Gold Coast in round 1, and then they've played the Crows in round 2. They're not world beaters at the moment. They haven't knocked Richmond or Collingwood or, because they're at top of the ladder, North Melbourne off the perch. They've got to the top by having an easy first 2 rounds, essentially. And
they've been playing traffic cones.
Exactly right. Traffic cones. It's almost been training drills for them in these first two rounds. And I'm not saying they're going to come out this week and absolutely get smashed by Fremantle, who have held their own against Brisbane and Essendon, but I don't think Port Adelaide are the powerhouse team that they're getting praised for at the moment because they haven't beaten anyone who's, a contender.
Yeah, exactly. If they knock off Fremantle this week, then they remain in that same boat, and we still don't know what they're doing because Fremantle aren't a contender. But who knows? Who knows? Sorry, I just wanted to get that slide dig in there for you, Damo.
I'm perfectly okay with that. I've as much as I love Justin Longmuir, I really want him to use this season to experiment with the team and get a good mix in, because it's quite obvious that we need help for Fife and Walters. So we'll do a Brayshaw breakout watch, and he scored at 1.1 points per minute again, but this time with an 88 from 74% game time. So they're building it up slightly. I don't know why he can't play 80% or more, because he is a long distance runner. It's baffling to me. Justin Longmuir, what are you doing?
What are you doing? It's hurting all of the teams of people that held him. It's a bit wild. But looking at, would you say instead of Rosie, looking at pretty much exactly the same price, Petrarca, is this the year he does it?
If I've been burnt by a player before, I can never look at them ever again the same way. So so my advice on this is trust your gut. I don't have the gut to trust.
You've been hurt too many times, Damo. It's okay. It's okay. Bring it in, man. Bring it in. But no, Petrarca, I watched most of that game, and I thought he was robbed of points. He played sensationally and just didn't fumble the football once, getting all of the contested ball, all of the things. Basically, go back and listen to me talking about him and swooning over him from that preseason game where he scored 180 odd. He basically looked like that again. But yeah, I think he'd be the one I would be targeting this week. Tom Stewart, obviously on the list of a lot of people. Nick Haynes has scored 5 tons in a row before this week, 4 tons in a row before this week, and then scored 97 in a losing side, was very good. One player I really want to keep an eye on is Gary Ablett.
Oh, can the little master return to his best on the Supercoach stage?
I think he can, and if there's ever going to be a year to do it, I think this is the year to do it. I'm not overly keen to make the jump just yet because of the way the season is, the way it's, we're still looking to downgrade, but he's very high on that radar, especially if Geelong don't head to another, especially with hubs as well. Less travel means there's less likelihood of him just staying home. If they go to Perth, the Cats, and then they don't have to go back to Perth again for the rest of the year, then there's a chance he might not miss a game this year, which I'm very intrigued by, but wouldn't jump on yet. Jordan Ridley is one that people have started talking about. He's been Essendon's best Supercoach scoring player so far this season, was their best scoring. Maybe not. I think Zach Merritt's actually overcome him at the moment, but through the pre-season he was, and he's looked really good with 190 odd and 1 decent ton this week. What are your thoughts on Ridley, Damo? Ridley me this.
Oh, God. I don't think he keeps it up.
Agreed.
Because we were talking before we started recording our voices, and you said you don't know where he fits once a few players come back. Like, is it Ambrose coming back? Is it and then you've got McKenna, and who else was it? You've
still got Marty Gleeson, who kind of competes for that spot and is really highly rated. And don't get me wrong, Ridley has claimed that spot as his, and it's sort of his to lose, but it won't take too much for him to lose it. And you look at his last year as well. Like, he had patches where he was really good, and this year he will be better and more consistent this year than he was last year. But by and large, there's still kind of a bit of he's still very much a mid-pricer, and he's kind of taking on that sort of general role down back for Essendon and will score pretty well. But with McKenna coming back, I feel kind of uneasy about it. He might come in and out of the side based on matchups potentially, but kind of looking at last year, he was very inconsistent, missed a bunch of games as well. He wasn't really cited after round 7, and it was 70s and 60s throughout most of that time there. So I don't know. I don't trust him enough. As much as I love him as a player, I don't trust him enough as a Supercoach option to bring him in. Someone I do kind of trust, and Lekdog is currently giving one-on-one coaching sessions too, instead of being here tonight, because he really wants him taken to the next level, is the sleeved Sam Petreski-Seaton.
Ooh. I liked his round 1. I have to admit I didn't see his round 2, but the scoring is a good picture, and
had 113 in round 1, 103 in round 2, priced at $464,000 as a defender midfielder. Is this the real Dan Houston standing up?
I think it could be.
Playing off half-back, looking very good. Sleeved while doing it too, if we can just re-emphasise the sleeves. I reckon this might be the year that you could go for an SPS, and he's kind of sliding into Simpson's role a little bit. It looked like Simpson was playing more, deeper, more, not so much lockdown, but not that rebounding defender that he has in years gone by. I really rate SPS, and he's kind of what Houston should have been. Is there anyone else in that weird, awkward price range you've been looking at, Damo?
Just quickly on Petreski-Seaton, his role will only be better now that Nick Newman is out for the season.
That's very true. That is very true. Yeah, is there anyone else sort of in that price range that you're looking at?
I've seen people jumping on James Aish. He's not going to score 94s every week, so get that out of your head. Luke Ryan bounced back against Brisbane as well. 123 after his shocking round 1. The fears I had about him not having his junk time has changed. He seems to be much more attacking against the Brisbane Lions. So I would say it was more of a teething issue with Longmuir's game plan in round 1. There's no one really that jumps out as being someone who I trust in that sort of price bracket.
Yeah, and you sort of look at it, and a lot of people are sort of asking, who should he look at bringing in, and what should he be looking at doing? And I think there's an argument that if you are doing a sideways trade and you don't want to downgrade to a rookie, you just try and go to a Max Gawn, a Lachie Neale, just try and get the best player in that price bracket, instead of sort of dicking around with these Ridleys and Rosies and players that might not do what you need them to do. Might not want to overpay for, say, a Michael Walters. 570k is a lot to pay for him, but I think there's the argument, especially in the midfield, to go towards a Nat Fyfe, to an Andrew Gaff, to someone that will deliver the whole way through, instead of going to sort of a mid-price like a Joel Selwood, who played extraordinarily and might, with the Ablett effect, have the same thing where he scores better. But yeah, Damo, surely you'd value that security and that safety in a year like this?
Yeah, you want to go for the best of the best if you're going to sideways trade. But otherwise, going down to a rookie and upgrading somewhere else might be might be better as well. It just depends on the way your team is, I guess.
And I on that note, downgrading twice this week and upgrading next week is also a big option, especially with the rookies on offer, I feel. But we'll kind of wait and see. We'll kind and wait and see. Anything else you wanted to mention, Damo? Is there anything else, any hot button issues around the traps you wanted to cast your eye over?
No, I think we wrap it up.
I think we might wrap it up indeed. Big shout out to both Foz and Clarkey this week, who had massive scores. Massive scores. And you had a decent week as well, Damo.
I was happy with my week, and then Clarkey and Foz shared their scores, and so I went back into my hole.
Those bastards, absolute bastards. And community, if you scored well, let us know. Have a bit of a gloat. It's been a little while since we've been able to gloat. Jump into the comments of jockreynolds.com.au. Come pay us a visit. Let us know how you went. And if you had a terrible week, like some of us may have had a terrible week, come let us know as well. we will commiserate together in that comment section. Until later this week, Damo, you'll have your captaincy article out again this week, will you?
Yes, I will.
Yep. Stay tuned for that. Is essential reading for anyone wanting to know anything about things. There'll be plenty of other content going up during the week. There will likely be some sort of streamy kind of thing on Thursday night when teams drop. So keep an eye out for that. Keep your eyes glued to the Jock Reynolds socials. Keep your eyes glued to the website. Damo, what are your socials? Where can people find out your doodle-lackies and goings-ons?
I'm at DamoSC on Twitter, and I will do it very sparsely, but I'm also at DamoSC on Twitch.
Lovely. Keep your eyes peeled. We'll try and cross it over to the Lech Dog Games Twitch channel as well, so you don't miss that at all. Follow all the Jock Reynolds stuff on Facebook, on Twitter, on Instagram. We're doing the Instagram thing this year. I'm at Patch to the Max on the old Twitter box. Come give me a follow and I'll tweet memes about Essendon and the Supercoach, probably. But yes, thank you for joining us, community. Wonderful to have you back. Wonderful to have Supercoach back. Wonderful to have you join me, Damo. Thank you.
It was great to be here, and you did a good job manning the key post while Lech Dog was out.
Out. It's okay. He'll be back. He'll come crawling back. He always does. Best of luck this week, community. We'll catch you on the flip side. Play that close music, boy.